Welcome to your Branch Out podcast, where we explore communication, markets, digital behavior, and business signals shaping Southeast Asia.
Glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, so our mission for this deep dive today is really unpacking the digital evolution of the Indonesian market.
Right.
Specifically as we look through 2025 and, heading into 2026. And I want to speak directly to you listening right now, whether you are a startup founder, an SME owner, maybe a regional operator or consultant.
Managing those cross-border teams.
Exactly. Because we are looking at a market that is evolving at just a breakneck pace. And frankly, the old playbooks are, well, they're starting to misfire.
They absolutely are. I mean, the assumptions that worked even, 3 years ago, they are actively creating blind spots for operators today.
Yeah.
You really just can't rely on historical momentum anymore.
So let's unpack this. I want to start with just the raw scale of Indonesia. Because the numbers we're seeing in the 2025 data, they can be incredibly deceptive if you don't read the context.
Oh, absolutely. The scale is staggering.
Right, let's look at the sheer human volume for a second. We're talking about a population of roughly 285 million people. But here's the signal that operators often completely misinterpret. There are 356 million active cellular mobile connections in the country.
Yeah, which is that's about 125% of the total population.
Right, 125%, because people are carrying multiple devices.
Exactly.
They're juggling multiple SIM cards to, chase data promos or separate their personal business and side hustle lives.
Yeah, the multi-device behavior is huge there.
And when you add in the 212 million internet users, bringing the online penetration rate to 74.6%, it creates this very specific illusion.
A dangerous illusion, really.
Right. Because if you're a business operator sitting in a boardroom somewhere, you look at a 74% penetration rate across hundreds of millions of people, and you think, well, we have an infinite, massive target audience just waiting to be captured.
Right. We just need to get our ads in front of them mentality.
Exactly.
And that is exactly the trap. It's so easy to mistake sheer volume for straightforward opportunity. I mean, that 74.6% penetration is a strong signal of digital maturity, certainly. But the true implication for local business culture is something completely counterintuitive to the old internet model.
How so?
Well, today, in Indonesia, visibility no longer equals trust.
Okay, wait. Visibility no longer equals trust. Let's really dig into why that is.
So think about 10 years ago. Simply getting your product in front of an Indonesian consumer was the primary hurdle.
Right, because the infrastructure was still catching up.
Exactly. If you had the budget to be seen, you were basically halfway to a sale. But now, attention in Indonesia is vast, it's commoditized, it's everywhere.
Yeah.
But converting that attention requires understanding an entirely new layered sequence of digital behavior. I mean, you can't just buy a billboard, whether that's digital or physical, and expect a transaction just because people looked at it.
So let's transition into how people are actually behaving then. Because the way they discover and buy has completely mutated.
Completely.
The 2025 data brings up another massive signal regarding top-of-funnel attention. There are 143 million social media identities in Indonesia.
Massive.
And TikTok alone is reaching 108 million adults.
Wow.
Yeah, that's over 53.5% of the entire adult population.
Which basically means social media is no longer just a marketing channel.
Right.
It is the infrastructure for discovery.
And to really visualize how different this is from the West, think about the old internet search model, traditional Google. That model was essentially like walking through a single, well-lit front door of a department store.
I like that analogy.
Right. You went in with a specific intent. You looked at the directory by typing in a keyword. You walked down the exact aisle, picked the item off the shelf, and went to the register.
Yeah. It was linear, quiet, predictable.
Predictable.
Yeah.
But the modern Indonesian digital market is not a department store. It's more like a massive, multi-level, hyper-connected bazaar.
Yes, exactly.
You might see a product being unboxed on a TikTok live stream. That's a loud, crowded stall, right? But then you don't buy it there. You jump over to Tokopedia to check the price clustering among 10 different sellers. Then you take a screenshot and message a friend on WhatsApp to ask if they've actually tried it. And all of this happens before you ever even pull out your wallet.
That multi-level bazaar analogy is spot on. I mean, what you're describing is the shift from a linear funnel to what we call the layered trust
Oh, I see,
sequence.
the layered trust sequence.
Right, the old journey, search a keyword, click an official website, add to cart. That is effectively dead for most consumer categories
Oh,
here.
dead.
Yeah. In Indonesia, the sequence is now distinctly broken down into 5 overlapping parts. You have discovery, verification, comparison, reassurance, and finally, transaction.
Wait, hold on. If the journey is really that fragmented, I'm putting myself in the shoes of an operator. I'm looking at my Q3 marketing budget and sweating a little bit.
Oh, for sure.
Am I completely wasting my money paying for traditional Google SEO then? Should I just divert all that budget into TikTok creators and marketplace ads?
Well, I wouldn't say traditional SEO is useless,
Yeah.
but its role has fundamentally changed.
Okay.
Google still matters deeply for the comparison phase of that sequence we just talked about.
Right.
When users are making high-stakes decisions, say, checking the deep legitimacy of a financial service, or looking up detailed corporate histories, maybe buying enterprise software, they still lean heavily on Google.
That makes sense. The heavy stuff.
Exactly. But for everyday consumer behavior, Google now shares the search function with platform-native search. In Indonesia, the walled gardens of these ecosystem platforms already structure the attention.
So the actual typing into a search bar is happening inside the marketplaces, not on a web browser.
Think about the bazaar again. Once you are inside, you don't leave the building to ask for directions.
Right.
You ask the people inside. A product discovered on Instagram or TikTok moves directly into Shopee or Tokopedia for the search query.
Interesting.
And the psychological shift here is what businesses so often misunderstand. On those marketplaces, users trust transaction volume and visible review density significantly more than they trust whatever claims you make on your beautifully designed official website.
Right. So if I search for your brand on Shopee and I see you have like 3 reviews, but your competitor has 3,000 reviews with photos and videos.
You're going with the competitor.
Exactly. It doesn't matter if your corporate website won design awards. The marketplace has already made the credibility decision for the consumer.
Because the search itself has become part of the trust formation. If you're invisible or if you look weak inside platform search, you lose relevance instantly.
Wow.
It really doesn't matter if your traditional SEO on Google is flawless, because the Indonesian consumer has already disqualified you before they even open a browser.
Okay, so if you're an operator listening right now and you're managing a broader regional strategy, you might be wondering how much of this applies across borders.
Right, the wider context.
Because we're focusing heavily on Indonesia's platform ecosystems here. But is this reliance on marketplace search unique to Indonesia? Or is this the reality across all of Southeast Asia?
Well, the underlying shift is regional, but the flavors of behavior change drastically depending on the market's specific digital maturity.
Okay, give me an example.
If we look at Singapore, for instance, search remains much more deliberate.
More like the department store.
Exactly. Singaporean consumers still operate closer to your department store model. They rely heavily on Google for credibility checks and business legitimacy before they commit to a new brand. The comparison discipline is very structured there, which is why having an immaculate official website and a strong traditional digital presence still carries immense weight in Singapore.
But the moment you step out of Singapore.
Oh, the behavior shifts aggressively.
Yeah.
In Malaysia and Vietnam, we are seeing extremely fast expansions in social search, particularly on TikTok, which is heavily influencing sectors like beauty, food, local discovery.
And then you look at Thailand.
Right.
I was reading the Thailand data, and they have 91.2% internet penetration. How does their sequence differ from Indonesia's?
So in Thailand, it's fascinating. They operate on this highly rapid hybrid model. Consumers jump from social discovery, usually Facebook or TikTok, directly to marketplace comparison almost instantaneously.
Wow, skipping the middle steps.
Yeah. Shopee and Lazada function as the primary search engines there because the Thai consumer implicitly trusts visible reviews and local seller patterns over top-down brand marketing.
Right.
Product trust forms entirely in the marketplace. For many Thai consumers, the official website is never even visited.
So bringing this back to the Indonesian SME or startup operator listening to this deep dive right now, this creates a very stark, practical business reality.
It really does.
Inside Shopee or Lazada, trust is heavily compressed.
Yeah.
You don't have landing pages to tell your brand story.
No, not at all.
Trust is boiled down into immediate visible signals. We're talking your star ratings, your price consistency across platforms, your delivery signals, and crucially, how quickly you respond to chat messages as a seller.
And that compresses the trust decision into a matter of seconds?
Seconds.
If your brand can't display those specific signals clearly and immediately, the consumer bounces to the next option in the bazaar.
Right.
You simply cannot compensate for weak marketplace signals with a good logo or a clever ad campaign.
And there's another layer accelerating this compression of trust. According to the Economy SEA data, video commerce now accounts for 25% of the region's e-commerce GMV.
That's a huge number.
Just to clarify that for a moment for anyone listening, GMV is gross merchandise value. That means a full quarter of all the actual money changing hands online is happening through video commerce.
Yeah.
That is a staggering volume of capital moving through a purely visual medium.
And what's fascinating is the mechanism.
The latest Economy C report signals that the ASEAN digital economy is poised to surpass $300 billion in GMV by 2025.
Massive growth.
Monetization is accelerating, yeah, but there's a massive contradiction hidden in the data regarding who is actually spending that $300 billion.
You're talking about the high-value users.
Exactly. The top 30% of spenders account for over 70% of the total digital economy spend.
It's incredibly skewed.
Heavily skewed. And specifically in Indonesia, these high-value users, the HVUs, spend 6.8 times more than non-HVUs.
Wow.
They're trailing just slightly behind Thailand, where HVUs spend a full 7 times more.
And this tells us something much deeper about market maturity. The rising tide is no longer lifting all boats equally.
Right.
I mean, the early days of the digital decade in Southeast Asia, that was all about acquiring any user, anywhere at any cost, just to show active user growth to investors.
Go, grow.
Right. But today, profitability requires an extreme, almost surgical focus on that specific 30%.
But if you're an operator trying to hit your quarterly targets, here is the dilemma.
Mm-hmm.
If every single brand, every regional operator, and every local competitor is fighting for that exact same top 30% inside these closed marketplace platforms, how do you win their trust without burning through all your margins on ads, discounts, and creator fees?
It feels like a race to the bottom.
It really does.
And that is the defining operational question for 2026. But the answer actually lies off-platform.
Oh, interesting.
It lives in the final, often completely misunderstood steps of the trust sequence. We're talking about the hidden messaging layer and the impending impact of AI.
Okay, let's start with the messaging layer, because this is something Western business assumptions almost always miss when they look at Southeast Asia.
Absolutely. In Western markets, search and verification are usually solitary activities.
Right, you read a review, you make a decision, you buy.
Exactly. But across ASEAN, and intensely so in Indonesia, users move into private messaging networks before making high-value purchases.
We're talking about WhatsApp groups, private Telegram channels.
Family group chats, workplace Slack, or Teams channels. All of it.
I know some marketers call this dark social because you just can't track it on a dashboard.
Yeah, but it's better understood locally as relational verification. Let's go back to our multi-level bazaar analogy.
Okay.
If you're about to spend a significant amount of money at a stall, you don't just trust the merchant. You turn to the person standing next to you, someone you know, and ask, is this guy legitimate? Did your item break after a week?
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Before an Indonesian high-value user drops a significant amount of money, they will copy the Shopee link or the TikTok video, drop it into a WhatsApp group, and ask their network for social proof.
Wow.
Has anyone actually used this brand? Is this price normal?
So the transaction might happen on a digital platform, but the decision ends in relational verification.
Exactly.
That silent question they're asking their group chat isn't about the product specs. It's about social confirmation.
And this is exactly where businesses lose control of the narrative if they haven't built what we call searchable credibility.
Searchable credibility.
Yeah. Imagine your brand's link getting dropped into a family WhatsApp group right now. What does the preview show?
Right. What does it actually look like?
Is the pricing consistent across different platforms so it doesn't look like a scam? Are there authentic local reviews that someone's friend can instantly verify? If your digital footprint looks messy when shared peer-to-peer, the high-value user abandons the cart.
It's that simple. And you also mentioned AI as the other half of this final trust step. How is AI changing this specific verification dynamic?
Well, AI is beginning to change search all over again. We're already seeing AI summaries, recommendation engines, and platform intelligence heavily influencing what users see first.
Inside the marketplaces.
Inside the marketplaces, Google, Shopee, Lazada, and other regional commerce platforms are aggressively integrating AI into the search experience itself.
Wait, really think about this for a second. The AI is actually summarizing the reviews before the user even has to scroll down and read them.
Yes. If you have 500 reviews on a marketplace, the AI is synthesizing the sentiment of those 500 reviews into a 2-sentence summary right at the top of the page.
Wow.
It might say, most users praise the durability, but note shipping is often delayed and the sizing runs small.
Ouch.
Right. This means businesses now compete not only for search ranking, but for machine-readable credibility.
Readable credibility. That is a huge realization.
Yeah.
It's not enough to just have a human consumer trust your brand anymore. The algorithm summarizing your brand to that human has to trust you.
Exactly.
How does a business even format itself for that?
By removing friction and ambiguity, the AI doesn't care about your clever marketing copy.
Right.
It cares about structured data, keyword consistency, and clear sentiment. If your product language isn't clear, if your descriptions lack precision, or if your trust signals like return policies and warranty info are inconsistent across platforms, the AI summary will reflect that ambiguity.
And ambiguity kills trust.
Always. A business that cannot be verified quickly, both by humans sharing links in WhatsApp groups and by AI summarizing the marketplace data, loses the attention of the high-value user before deeper engagement ever happens.
So many SMEs still operate under the assumption that search visibility just means having a live website and buying some good AdWords.
Oh, yeah.
But what we're seeing from all these signals is that modern search in this region means searchable content, searchable products, searchable credibility, and searchable proof.
That is the core takeaway. The market is fragmented. Your audience is scattered across social feeds, walled garden marketplaces, and private messaging groups. But the fundamental rule anchoring all of this remains the same. The easier a brand is to verify, the easier it is to buy.
Synthesizing everything we've unpacked today, from the illusion of that 125% mobile connection rate to navigating the multi-level bazaar of the layered trust sequence, all the way down to relational verification in WhatsApp groups and formatting for AI summaries. Succeeding in Indonesia and, frankly, the wider Southeast Asian region is no longer about answering the question, where is this product?
No, that question is far too basic for the modern consumer. They already know where to find things.
It's now about answering the critical silent question. Can this business be trusted enough to continue? If you can answer that question at every single layer of the sequence, you win the high-value user.
And achieving that requires a complete shift in operational mindset. You can't just build a marketing funnel anymore. You have to build an ecosystem of proof.
This market is evolving fast, but the real opportunity belongs to those who understand how local trust is built before they try to scale visibility. That closes our discussion for today. Thank you for listening to Branch Out by Y Consulting, where we examine the signals shaping business across Southeast Asia. Keep watching the signals. We'll speak with you again in the next episode.